It's match day, Brentford versus West Ham in the Premier League. A big, big game for West Ham, David Moyes and everybody, because despite the Arsenal result, which was obviously fantastic, the Premier League form has dipped and we need to get it back on track fast. It's putting the pressure on actually today. We can't afford a defeat. And realistically, because of the Everton result, it's putting more pressure on the fact that we actually need to go and get the 3 points, especially if we want to keep with the pack of chasing for European teams, because otherwise we're going to start giving ourselves a mountain to climb. Obviously, we're still very close to it, but it can change very quickly, of course, as well. Brentford could leapfrog West Ham today. So it's a big game. There's no getting away from it. This is a really big one, and we've got to get it right. And of course, we've got some suspensions to contend with and injuries as well. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about Brentford, first. Do you know what? I've always been, like a lot of fans, a big admirer of that club. You know, how they're run. I really like their manager. The recruitment's spot on. It just feels like everything they've done to become a Premier League side has just happened so well and at the right timing. If it's happened correctly as you'd have wanted, they couldn't have predicted any better. They couldn't have planned for it any better. So I've got to say, it's just a club that I genuinely just really admire. Like I really do. I mean, you consider how the Premier League usually shapes up. You've obviously got the sort of top teams that are fighting for the league title. There's usually 2 or 3 that are in that. You've then got the pack of teams that are fighting for European football. And then you've got the sort of teams that are around, that's it, left, that arguably are... Well, actually, no, you've got a pack of teams at the bottom that are fighting relegation. You've got a pack of teams in the middle. Now, Brentford are not in that team that you'd ever consider to get relegated now. And considering their size and considering that the fact that where they've come from, that is such an amazing achievement. Even this season, they've lost their main striker through suspension, obviously, because of betting allegations in Ivan Toney. You don't look at Brentford and think, oh, they could be in danger this season. They could go. They're just not a team you consider to be at any risk. And that is really commendable, I think, for that football club. And they should be really proud of that. And, as a West Ham fan today, going into the game, we know we're in for a game. Despite their season not starting as maybe they'd hoped for, they're in pretty decent form now. Obviously, last time out, they got a decent result with Chelsea, winning 2-0. They're a good side, and we're up against it. We know that, and we're going to be very, very good to get a result. There was a good team at home as well. It's going to be very, very interesting game. I love their model as well, isn't it? It's the Brighton, it's very similar to the Brighton model, the way they recruit, that money ball style of recruitment. It just works well. And Thomas Frank as well. I'm a massive admirer of him, and he's always been someone that gets linked, doesn't he, with the West Ham job. But the name that always crops up if David Moyes was to leave, Thomas Frank, wouldn't fit West Ham well? I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I certainly wouldn't be annoyed if we had got him in, but whether he'd suit the West Ham model, I don't know. Possibly now with Tim Steidten, maybe. But do you know what? Because Brentford of who they are and what they've done and how Frank has done so well there. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those I don't actually want to see him leave. I'd like him to stay there just for them because I don't want it to disrupt them because they've done so well. But no, they're honestly really club that I genuinely do admire. But obviously today that is being parked big time because we do need a result there. There's no 2 ways about it. Look, to talk about Ivan Toney and the situation there. I mean, again, very commendable for how they've handled the situation. They've really dealt with it correctly, as far as I'm concerned, Brentford. And you know what was really surprising is how they've handled his missing him. This is a player that's been touted to go to Arsenal, to the Manchester United. All these top clubs are looking at Ivan Toney, and that's what I suspect he will do. He will go to a very top club. I mean, I've got to say, when we talk about West Ham and our ambition, that is what I would want West Ham to do. I don't believe we'd be able to do it. I don't think we're quite there. To be honest, I don't think we've got the finances to get a Toney deal over the line. They're talking about 80 to 100 million pound they'd want for him, which is kind of understandable considering the sort of player he is and what he brings. I just, you look at West Ham, I just don't think we're viable realistically. I think if we were a side that were challenging in the top 6 now, the top 4, we probably might have a little bit of a sniff really there. But again, financially, I don't know whether we'd be able to get it done. But you look at how they've handled missing him. As I say, this is a big player, a big player for Brentford. And they still look sharp. They're still scoring goals. And Bremo has done so well. He's stepped into that role and he's been a really good player. And again, a player we've got to really watch out for today. It's going to be a really tough game there. Their form, although they started the season pretty slow, their form in the last 6 games is 2 wins and 2 losses and a draw. But the last 2 wins came from the back-to-back. So they're in good form. They're coming into this game with their tails up massively. You'd like to think West Ham will be as well after Arsenal, but our league form has suffered recently, and we need to address it. Talking about quick players, before we go on to West Ham, though, I mean, I've talked about Mbeumo, great player. Again, another one that you seem to, wouldn't have been off the radar a little bit, wouldn't have known too much about, but it's just coming to the scene now. You think, if he carries on this form next summer, there could be some bigger clubs looking around for him. And that just seems to be the story with Brentford. They bring these players in and they just, you don't really know much about them. As I say, much like Brighton, and all of a sudden you're thinking, these are good players, very good, settled very well into the Premier League. And yeah, I'm really impressed with him, actually. And certainly someone I think to keep an eye on. And also another couple of players, Rico Henry. I mean, he's only just recently come back for Brentford. Player I've always admired. Really, I liked him when they were in the Championship. I thought he was a player we should have been looking at. Just pacey. He's got something about, really a threat going forward and a good defender. Works so hard and yeah, great player. Very, very impressed with him. And Jensen as well in the middle. I mean, he is an orchestrator for their way they play, and he's just excellent. A really all-round excellent player. Another one again that you look at and think he could be going to a top club one day. He really could be, and you can understand why. Offers so much for him. As a football club, there's so many players at Brentford that I admire. And yeah, very, very good club. And despite having their struggles, maybe at the start of the season, a little bit slow, which was maybe understandable with the Ivan Toney situation, they seem to be finding their feet again. And as I say, I just don't think there's any danger of them dropping at all. I just don't see it. I think they're a club that can, as fans, they can pretty much look up rather than down, which is, as I say, what a thing to say about a club like Brentford, because you consider other clubs that are of similar positions to Brentford. You look at the Bournemouths, look at the Nottingham Forest. You look at it's a few teams down there, isn't there, that have struggled, that have come up and then sort of struggled to get up. You can see them going up and down. Norwich is, for instance, they've struggled. Brentford have come up and just immediately set themselves as a Premier League side, and it's really something that they should be quite proud of, to be honest. And West Ham have got the work cut out today, and it's a big game, really, really big. I mean, of course, going into this game now, you'd expect to be feeling pretty confident after the Arsenal game. I mean, a fantastic result, fantastic performance, especially the second half. Wow, I mean, we were excellent, really blew Arsenal away, and I'm so proud of it. It was a really good night for West Ham, and sets us up nicely for today. We do have issues, though. We do have issues in regards to the team today. We're going to talk about that quickly now. So, obviously, Lucas Paqueta is suspended along with Edson Alvarez. Dare I say, I think Alvarez is even the bigger blow than Paqueta in this, because Alvarez is just so important to that midfield. He really is. I mean, he keeps things tight. He's organised. He just gives that presence that we need in front of the back line. And we're going to miss him dearly, because considering the fact that Souček's most likely to replace him in that role today, we've seen last season he's not quite there, is he, as a defensive midfielder? He's not that level. He's better going forward. We saw it all of last season, obviously, with Declan Rice having a more advanced role. He struggled a little bit with that. So I'm not saying he's a bad defensive midfielder, but it's just not his more suited position. So that is a big blow for West Ham today. And the other one is Kurt Zouma. So Zouma looks like, I think he's going to be out today. From what I'm understanding, it appears that he's going to struggle to make the team. David Moyes has already said it in his press conference that he hasn't played much. He's recovering from injury. So that kind of leaves Mavropanos, I think, is the option, which, to be honest with you, I've got no problem with at all. I think he's looking a very good player. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. And obviously the big talking point as well is Mikel Antonio. Now, I think the suspensions will play a part in Antonio's play today. And to be honest with you, I'm not too despondent. I know there are a few fans at the moment that are a little bit frustrated with the Antonio situation in terms of him being selected and being our main striker. I totally agree, actually, that the fact that this club is still again in a position where we're just relying on Antonio as our striker. I appreciate we've got a couple of other options now seem to be appearing for David Moyes, which is exciting. But ultimately, it always feels like we've only got one striker. We know that there's another striker in terms of Obama, but I don't know what's going on there at the moment. Really don't. We'll do a video a bit later this week about that, find out a little bit more what's happening. But it's I'll tell you what, David Moyes he's given himself a bit of breathing space because of the whole the Arsenal win. I mean, look, it's football. If you lose a few games in the spin, you're under pressure. That's natural. I think it's fair. I mean, I know the press. Well, it wasn't the press, was it? It was on. I think it might have been TalkSport. They were saying, "Oh, it's ridiculous that David Moyes is under pressure. Why should West Ham fan?" Look, it's just football. That'd happen at any club. We'll get back to the video in just a second, but I just wanted to let you know this video is actually sponsored by Circle and specifically their game 5 Match Millions. I'm going to be honest with you, okay, that we're very picky about who we work with on the channel. For the West Ham Way, we are. And when they approached us to sponsor the channel, we said, well, okay, but I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll basically use your app for a couple of weeks just to make sure that we're happy with it. I've got to say, it's really good and very addictive, I'll warn you. Basically, the way it works is they pick 5 games for the weekend, Premier League football games, okay? And each game, you pick a number. You can do it either randomly, or you do a lucky dip, or you pick the numbers that you want. And the way it works is that it's numbers from 1 to 27, and basically the die will spin depending on what happens in the game. So if there's a throw-in, it moves 2 places to the left. If there's a yellow card, it goes 4 to the right. And basically, wherever it ends at the end of the game, it'll land on a number. And if you get that number, then you win. So basically, you can win up to £1 million if you get all 5, okay? And the first, so if you match 1, you get your money back plus a couple of quid extra, blah, 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 blah. And basically, I think even if you match 3 numbers, you get 75 quid. So it's very, very good. And yeah, and basically all it is £2 a week to play. Now, if you click on the link below and type in West Ham Way, next weekend's games, you get absolutely free and get to give it a go. So why not just give it a go? Got nothing to lose. I've got to say, it's really, really good. And as I say, I've won already twice. It might be beginner's luck. It might well be beginner's luck, but I'm definitely going to carry on playing. But yeah, so click the link below, West Ham Way. Good luck. If Arsenal were to lose the next 2 games, Arsenal fans would be calling for Arteta's head. That's just natural football fans' reaction. Fans want wins. We live in the here and now, I think, and that's natural how we behave. So if you lose a couple of games, it becomes like a meltdown. You go, oh my God, we're never going to win again. So the Arsenal performance was a nice response to a bad week. There's no two ways about it, but we've got to carry that on. You know, if we lose to Brentford today, let's say in the same fashion as we did at Aston Villa, and let's bloody hope that isn't the case, then naturally the pressure is going to be back on Moyes. But that would be at any other club for me. You can't just get away from that. That's just natural. But it's still a big game for Moyes. He knows that. He needs to get not so much in for him, for West Ham. If we want to be chasing top 6 football this season, top 7, if that's where we want to be as a football club, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a challenge because there's a lot of competition up there. You can't just keep losing games. You can't just keep slipping up against teams like this. We've got to get a result. I mean, on the face of it, a point would be a good result today because it's away at Brentford. And I still think, even naturally, if we did come away with a point, I probably wouldn't be too annoyed. But the fact we've just gone and lost to Everton at home adds the pressure to today. We've got to get a result. So it is a high-profile game for David Moyes today and the West Ham. It is a big game for us. We've got to get a result. So, yeah, onto the team then. This is my team that I think, let's say not a team I think is going to have to pick. I think this is what I would pick if I was the manager today. So I've gone for Areola in goal, which I think is understandable. I'm pretty sure everyone will join me on that. By the way, again, if you please put your team down in the comments section. Obviously, like and subscribe as well if you're not a subscriber, because it does help the channel out. Also, you enter a competition to win a free West Ham top, which is a home away offer. We're doing it every month for the whole season. We're going to be giving away one next week. So if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that and you'll be in the competition. So do that, and it's completely free. So yeah, I've got Areola in goal. Sorry. So you put your team down, put your prediction of the score down, and if you're correct, we'll pick out a winner, and then the winner gets a free gift from our shop, which is again, nice little something to give back for the fans, and it does mean a lot for the channel as well. So this is what I'm going for. I'm going to go for Areola in goal. I'm going to go for Soufal at right back. I'm going to go for Mavropanos and a Gerd at centre back. Now, the reason I've gone for Mavropanos is because I don't believe Zouma's available. If Zouma's available, would I play him? Probably, yes, I think I would. But I've got to say, I'm really impressed with Mavropanos. He played really well against Arsenal. And do you know what? There's that danger for Zouma here, because if Mavropanos plays today, which is probably likely, because considering the fact what Moyes has been saying and what we understand the team, then Zouma could find himself out of a position here. Really, he could lose his place and being West Ham captain. But you've got to play players that are playing well, and I've been really impressed with him actually. So yeah, I'm going for Soufal, Mavropanos, a Gerd, and Emerson at left back. Emerson, my word, who would have predicted that Emerson would be such a vital player for West Ham? I never would have predicted it at all when I signed him. In fact, I was the one of them that shouted, "Why have you bothered? Bloody hell, he's no better than Masuaku." What an idiot I am for saying it, because I tell you, I'm really impressed with him. He actually is such a vital player to the way we play. Yes, that's a back four for me. Souček and James Ward-Prowse in the middle. Of course, Souček stepping in there for Alvarez. I can't see it being any other options we've got, to be honest. You could possibly say Fornals, but I don't know. I don't think he'd play that role well. We need a bit of height in there as well. So no, I think Souček and James Ward-Prowse for me in the middle. Obviously, you have Souček playing more a deeper role, and then James Ward-Prowse playing more advanced in the middle. Now this is where we're going to be differing, I think, between fans now. So I'm really interested to see what you're going to say to this. So I'm putting Kudus in the more advanced midfield role, i.e. playing behind the strikers. I want to see Kudus play. I mean, he's got to be playing for me. Vital player already, and what a goal it was against Arsenal. Great performance again from him. Bowen out on the right, Benrahma out on the left. I actually thought he played okay against Arsenal. A few frustrating moments, but ultimately I think he played well. And I'd like to see him get his confidence back. I really was impressed with him. So yeah, I want to definitely start Benrahma today, and I'd have Antonio up front. Now the controversial thing, people are going to say, Antonio, oh no, don't play. Antonio's well rested. Let's bear in mind he didn't play against Arsenal, so I want to see him playing. I really do. I want to see Antonio out on that pitch today. I think he'd cause some problems, and we need him, because had we not had these suspensions, I would have certainly had what we had against Arsenal. I think I'd have had Kudus, Bowen and Benrahma. That would be my front three. I think that worked really well, because in fact that was a good Arsenal defence, and they played really well. So that would definitely be me. And I'd have Antonio now playing as that impact sub. That's what I'd go for. But today, because of the suspensions, I think our hands been forced a little bit. So yeah, that's my team. So I'll go over it again. I've got Areola, Soufal, Mavropanos, Agurd and Emerson, Souček, James Ward-Prowse, Kudus playing ahead of them, Bowen out on the right, Benrahma on the left, and Antonio up front. So yeah, let me know what your team is. I'm really interested to know about this, because this was a little bit tricky. I was thinking, I'm not sure. There was a few things I was debating, but that's what I've gone for. And here's the prediction for it. And I hate doing this sometimes, because I feel like I'm just jinxing it all the time. But I'm going to go for it. It's got to be done. I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham. I've just got this feeling stuff. I think the Arsenal result will give us a bounce. I'd like to think we're going to go there and put in a good performance. I think there's a few players out there that are going to want to prove themselves. Benrahma especially, Mavropanos is going to want to put a good shift in. The midfield worries me a little bit, I'll be honest, with Souček and James Ward-Prowse. We're going to miss Alvarez, but I'd like to think they've got enough there to cope. But it's going to be a bit tricky. I think Emerson playing is going to be vital for us as well. Obviously, Bowen's in great form. And Antonio's well rested. And a well-rested Antonio, as we know from history, is dangerous. And I think he'll be licking his lips today, thinking, I want to get back in this side. Because he sat from the sidelines watching that front three against Arsenal, and he'll be thinking, well, I've got my opportunity here today. I want to get myself back in this, because if I don't play well, I'm out. You know what I mean? I'm going to be on that bench now for the foreseeable. So I do think that it's going to be the right call for David Moyes. I'm pretty sure that's what he'll do. That's my gut feeling, but I might be wrong. You know, I'm happy to take a bit of criticism on that one, and obviously get your thoughts. So yeah, 3-1 West Ham is my prediction. I'd like to know yours. Big game. Let's go and get the result, West Ham. Let's go and get something done. Let's get that bounce back from Arsenal going, because if we lose today, suddenly the Arsenal game's forgotten quickly, you know, and then back to doom and gloom. And don't forget as well, we've got a good run of games. Now, I'm not going to go through the game, because I feel like I'm a little bit superstitious, but when I go through it, we're going to get 3 points there, we'll probably get a draw there. And I did say last time I expect us to win a load of these games, and we straight away lost the first one against Everton. So I'm not going to say that, but we have got some favourable fixtures coming up now. So it would be nice to, if you think about the Everton and Brentford games, you know, as a pair, if someone said to you, you get 3 points for those two games, you probably would have taken them. You know what I mean? You probably would go, okay, beat Everton, lose Brentford. It's not the end of the world. We can move on. So that's what I kind of think in my mind. If we can just get the win today, that would make the Everton game kind of a little bit like, okay, not the end of the world. We can move on. So that's my thoughts, and let's hope it pays off, because yeah, I'm feeling it a little bit now. I think this is going to be quite a tough one today, and we need a good performance. But hopefully, after this midweek result against Arsenal, we've got that bounce. Come on, you Irons.